The last thing we're going to talk about in terms of music theory right now is the C major scale, because it is so important and so fundamental to our ability to compose music and the way the keyboard works that we just have to get into it. So let's learn about it right now. First, I want to ask, what is a scale? We just talked about this in the last video, but it's good to refresh. What is a scale? A scale is a pattern or set of notes within an octave. Remember, an octave is the distance between two notes of the same name. C to C, B flat to B flat, F to F, E to E. That's an octave. Inside that space of an octave, we create a pattern of notes that we call a scale. So the most fundamental scale in Western music is the C major scale. Now, it's fundamental purely because it has no sharps and flats. And again, sharps and flats don't sound inherently different from the white keys. It's just a visual thing. So really, all scales are equal, but because the way the keyboard is laid out, the C major scale is the easiest to understand because it has no black keys. All you have to do is find C. Remember, to find C, you take two black notes anywhere, and you go down to the note to their left. That's a C. Here's two black notes, C. Two black notes, C. And then you just go up from there. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C again. That is the C major scale. It's made of 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now if you know, an octagon has 8 sides. Oct means 8. That's why we call it an octave. Because most scales are made of 7 notes, and the distance between the ends of that scale from the first note to it when it repeats again is 8 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's an octave. So again, this major scale, C major scale, has no sharps or flats. And if you remember what I talked about in the last video, scales are important because they're sets of notes that work well together. So when we compose music in the C major scale, so long as we hit just the white notes, all those notes are going to work together when we're creating melodies, when we're creating chords, when we're creating bass lines, so we can write, and it just works well. Works well. Works well. I can play some chords, hit some random notes. And everything pretty much sounds good because it all comes from the same scale. So that's the magic of a scale. If we choose a scale to work with, we can just use the notes of that scale, and then all of our parts will start to fit together. So with this C major scale, it's very important to name the notes as you play them up and down. Whenever you're using the C major scale, make sure you know what note you're playing. If you play this note, make sure you know it's G. This is E. This is B. Now, as I mentioned before, with scales, they have a root note. Check it out. There's the root note, right? It feels like home. It feels rested. It feels solid, like it doesn't need to move anywhere. If I stop before the root note, it feels kind of weird, and then we get a resolve like that. It feels rested. The home note, the root note. So the root note is the center of the key, or the key center. It's that note that the whole scale revolves around. This is the C major scale, so C is the key center. It's the most important note in the scale. It's the most stable note in the scale. All the other notes will feel to some degree like they're a little bit unstable or away from home. But then when we get to C, it feels stable again. So this is an important concept that will become clearer to you as we start to write music, how you can use that. But I want to introduce it again, just so we have a taste of it, that scales and chords have root notes, and the root note is the most solid note, the most important note in the key in the scale. It's the note that the whole scale revolves around, and the whole scale kind of moves towards. So that's it for the C major scale. It is simply all the white keys, no black keys. It's the easiest scale to play in. I would recommend that you practice just walking up and down the scale, name the notes, play different little melodies, anything you can think of. Just experiment, try things, play multiple notes together. see what it sounds like. This is really the way that I learned music, was just experimenting, just getting my hands on it, whether it happens to be the computer keyboard with the Chordie keyboard that I showed you earlier, or a physical one, and just clicking, just trying, seeing what it sounds like. So that's the goal right now, is to familiarize yourself with the C major scale, because we're going to be using it in the next section to start composing our new song.